Good morning. Welcome to Real Estate Rant here at the towers of the Rant Radio Network, what I like to call the holy ground. In previous shows, what we always do here at the beginning of the show is what we call the design deal. And I'm your host, Mr. Alex Alanis, and my co-host is running a little bit late this morning, so he'll be here for the second segment. And we'll cover the frequently asked questions as well as emails that we get from listeners. You can email us at there we go again, realestaterantradio@gmail.com. That's realestaterantradio@gmail.com. Or you can call in at 855-693-4897. That's 855-693-4897. In-house today, we have a respected guest of the community, Miss Heather Cobbler. Did I say that right, Heather? Oh, Kobler, I'm sorry. Speak into the mic, okay? She's from the Casket Monument Company. We will be discussing estate planning this morning. What we considered a part of the real estate is the last piece of real estate you'll ever own.
That's right.
Right? And now I can hear you. Thank you, Heather. And I did want to say that if you do call in at 855-693-4897, we do have a $25 gift card for Stevens Steakhouse, located in the seat of Commerce. Have you ever had Stevens?
Yes, I have, many times.
And what do you think about Stevens?
It's delightful.
It's very good. I actually had the pastrami there one time, and it was very delicious.
It's a great place to go for a special occasion.
I don't think of Stevens Steakhouse as being a pastrami place, but let me tell you, it was very good. They had a very good pineapple coleslaw, and then they had the garlic fries. Boy, it was gourmet style, I'll tell you. We also have a $25 gift card for Garden Dental, located in the city of Bell Gardens. Both compliments of Carlos Cruz at the Bell Gardens City of Commerce. Chamber of Commerce for the city. Good morning, Heather. I did want to mention as well that we have the design deal that we do every week. If we can throw up the design deal there, Mr. Manny. If you happen to call in and guess or happen to get right what the design is, you can win a $25 gift card, like I mentioned before, for Stevens Steakhouse and also for Garden Dental. It's a $200 gift card for teeth whitening, and it's actually pretty good deal there. So if you happen to get what type of home this is, give us a call, 855-693-4897. Miss Heather, I was reading some of the things that we had mentioned before the show, and I wanted to ask you, it says here you've been married for 47 years, and I wanted to ask you, first off, before we get into some of the subject matter, as to what you would like the general public to know about what it is that you do.
I think it's really important to educate yourself about end-of-life decisions. Knowledge is power, and I invite people to come by the showroom or to call me to pick my brain because I have all this knowledge about planning. If you have time on your side, the decisions you make are so powerful. My biggest referral source are the local hospices and the chaplains from the hospitals around us. And if I can get the family member to come before the event, then their decisions make complete sense. People don't know things like if you own property at a cemetery that has a mortuary, you're not obligated to use that mortuary. You can use the grounds for the interment, but you can use an outside service that may save you thousands of dollars. People don't know these things.
And this is why it's important to go in and consult about these things first.
Right.
Rather than having somebody pass away
Right.
and potentially having to go in and talk about it at that time.
Exactly.
Then
Because you are at the mercy. I mean, you have to make a decision. If someone dies at home or in a hospital, the facility wants them moved within a couple of hours. So if you don't already have a favored mortuary or a plan, you're scrambling instead of, just picking the phone up and making one call. My husband died at home on a Sunday morning. Everything was planned years earlier. So there were no decisions. It was one phone call, and I spent the whole day with my children, which was a gift because most people wait and then they have to run. I tell my clients all the time, please drive carefully, because they think they're okay, but I know they're not okay.
Oh.
I know they're not okay.
Now you didn't start off in this business. You actually started off in a different business, which
Yeah.
is interesting.
Yeah.
And we'll actually lead up to how you got into
Yeah.
the business that you're in now. But what did you do before that?
Well, my husband and I had a broaching company here in Whittier. He made very sophisticated cutting tools.
Oh, wow.
And, for 37 years, we worked together.
I always wondered where those came from.
Yeah. Anyway, and then I worked locally for Dr. Marshburn in Whittier for 11 years. Then I went on to become a general manager at a wholesale lighting company.
If I can ask, who's Dr. Marshburn?
He's an ophthalmologist here in Whittier.
Okay. Oh, I see. Okay.
Very, very old family here in Whittier.
Right on. So now I'm reading here that you were a volunteer.
I am a volunteer.
Well, you says you're a volunteer for suicide prevention?
Well, I was a volunteer for suicide prevention. All I did was listen to people that were out of focus. And when somebody calls and tells you 4 or 5 things that have led them to this very scary place, and you feed it back to them, then they get a sense of, holy cow, no wonder I feel this way. And the thing is you just have to say, slay the dragons. Take one problem at a time. People become overwhelmed in their life and times.
Yes.
And
I know I do.
Yeah, well, some people know how to navigate better. If you have a support system, everything is easier because you have people to talk to. In fact, in grief, talking is catharsis. That's how you work through your grief. Grief is like your own personal storm. Some days it's like a cyclone, and some days the sun comes through. But the point is that you're working through your grief, because there is life after death. And the decisions that you make for a funeral can severely impact the survivors in that family. Because if you overspend, then somebody's suffering.
Let me interrupt you there for a second, Heather. I just wanted to introduce Mr. Alonso Rodriguez. He's my broker, good friend, and co-host. Heather is our guest for today. Alonso ran a little bit of traffic this morning. Welcome, sir.
Thank you, Alan. Thank you.
We were talking about the volunteer work that you were doing, and it actually, at that time now, you weren't in the casket monument
No.
business. Okay,
I had just retired.
because you would think they're conflicting
Yeah.
things that were going on there, right?
Yeah. Well,
How
because
could you be stopping people from dying, right?
yeah, well, the thing is that because of my life experiences and because of my work experiences, it all prepared me for what I do, because I will address the elephant in the room. And you wouldn't think that would come into play, but when you have 10 or 15 people from family that come in the showroom, and they're all different ages, different maturity levels, and they're deep in their grief, they need somebody that can step back and say, let's remember what we're here for.
And these are the folks that are calling you, and they're having
They're
trouble.
making arrangements. They're looking for caskets or other goods and services.
I see.
With so much on your mind when something like that happens, that you need someone to coordinate and kind of
yeah.
synchronize everything.
yeah.
So,
Yeah.
and I know for a fact it just happened to a good friend of mine. She lost her mother, and they were devastated. They pretty much, if it wasn't for the people that helped them
Right.
coordinate the stuff, they pretty much would have been lost.
Oh, yeah.
They're grieving and
Yeah.
and
I
can
tell
definitely
people,
relate with this.
if you're going to go, most mortuaries are happy to have you come in and make a plan. You don't have to pay for anything, but you can go and say, I want to fill out my vital statistic sheet, and I would like this sort of service. And then you can go home and say, you know what, sweetheart, I made the arrangements. You can fund it later. Or you can buy a pre-need policy. That's what I did. My husband died 3.5 years after we started the policy, and everything was done. All the decisions were made. So instead of running around, I made one phone call.
And was that before you became interested in the business?
No, this was we got the pre-need policy because the owner of the store said to me, I think you should provide this to our clients. And I did, and the first thing I did was write policies for myself, my husband, and all my kids. All my kids have plans. They were paid for 4 years ago. You can pay it in full, you can pay over 3 years or 5 years. It depends on what your budget is.
Heather, when you say the plan, when you say plans, are you talking about the plot, or are you actually talking about the whole state planning?
Well, the plot is a separate issue. You can come in and pick out your casket, the type of service you want, and fund it over 1, 3, or 5 years, or pay it in full. What I was thinking about when you were talking about what your friend just went through, I encourage people to take a non-family member with them if they can before there's a death and after a death. Because if you have a good friend with you that's not nutsy cuckoo, they can really help you to make sound decisions.
Yeah, and it's because when you're going through it, when you say nutsy cuckoo, this is what I'm getting from you.
Yeah.
When you're going through it, your mind is not there.
Right.
Your mind is
elsewhere. I'm a
elsewhere.
pretty put together lady, but let me tell you, I was bumping into walls after my husband died, and I'm pretty sharp. But in fact, he died on a Sunday, and I went to work on a Monday. I don't have to be there. I'm a volunteer, but I needed to do something normal.
Just to get your mind
exactly,
occupied or
because
mind working.
to me, in fact, since my husband's been gone, I find so much solace from doing this because I make a difference.
Well, it just goes to show that when our feelings take over, it really does take over the mind as well.
Exactly.
And like you said, it's important to have somebody there, a loved one, family, or friend on the side there that's more conscious and not having those same feelings.
Exactly.
We're actually coming up on a break. Give us a call, 855-693-4897, or you can email us at realestaterantradio@gmail.com. Now, we won't get to your email on the show, but we will get to it on the following or subsequent shows. Don't touch that mouse.
Stay tuned. We'll be right back with some more Real Estate Rant.
Ticketsurgeon.com. Reach us at 855-WIN-4199.
Did you get caught speeding, texting while driving, or doing anything else you weren't supposed to do?
Give us a call. Don't miss work. Don't lose out on the money. Don't get any more points. What about your insurance? Let us fight for you. Ticketsurgeon.com at 855-WIN-4199.
Are you watching the game at home? Why? Come watch it at Mambo Grill, the hottest spot in Downey. You'll have good food, drinks, and a great time at a low price. We have the coldest beer in our sports bar, where you can enjoy the game on any of our huge flat screen TVs. And when your home team wins, you get 25% off anything in Mambo Grill. We're on Downey Avenue, 1 block north of Firestone, or visit us on the web. Mambo Grill, love at first bite.
What up, foodie freaks? It's Chef Bev Lazo with the Culinary Trend Show. Join me and my brigade every Thursday night from 8 to 9 p.m. where we will be cooking up some crazy stuff that will give you the appetite for discussion. It's all about the good food, good friends, and good times. Only here on RantRadioNetwork.com.
We are the Three Guys Rant with Arvin, Mike, and Phil. Coming to you on the Rant Radio Network every Monday from 6 to 8 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. You can call us at 855-69-THE-3-GUYS.
It's not the three guys. This is why you should turn in, because one has Tourette's. The other one's illiterate.
You really should listen, then you never know what's going to happen.
855-69-3-GUYS. G-U-Y-S and the number 3, not the.
Faces for radio, voices for the deaf.
Look forward to talking to you.
Hey, I'm audio candy. I don't know about you guys.
Hi, I'm Aaron Michael Sanchez.
And I'm Kelly V. Dolan.
And we are excited to announce our show Live with Aaron Kelly is on Rant Radio Network. What do we talk about on our show, Kelly?
We talk about everything from entertainment to business and tech, and we have a few laughs in between.
That's right. Go check us out on RantRadioNetwork.com. That's RantRadioNetwork.com.
Check it out.
Live from the Rant Radio Network,
You're listening to Real Estate Rant with your host, Alex Allen.
and your co-host, Mr. Alonso Rodriguez.
No problems, just solutions for real estate needs, hot topics, and controversial chat. Give me the clock. And we're back. Real Estate Rant here at the Rant Radio Network. on the holy grounds of the towers of the Rant Radio Network, give us a call, 855-693-4897. That's 855-693-4897. And we always put a shout out for Mucho Macho Michelada. I actually took one of the salters for the margarita, and I put half salt and then half Mucho Macho Michelada, which is a michelada mix. It's I don't know, herbs and spices at best. And I put my margarita glass in it, and then I put the limerita
Oh, wow.
in it, and it was actually very delicious. I found a new use for the michelada mix. So put a shout out for them. Every week we do the design deal, and Mr. Manny, if you would oblige us with the design for the week, anybody that calls in, and anybody that calls in has the opportunity to win a $25 gift card for Stevens Steakhouse or a $200 gift card for teeth whitening and a Garden Dental. And actually, we do have a caller. Let's see if we can get him on the line here. Hello, caller, are you there? Welcome to Real Estate Rant.
Hello?
Hello.
Yes, good morning.
How are you doing, sir? You're on the air.
Great. I was calling regards that on Sunday morning, I was driving, and I was listening to this infomercial where they were talking about people that technically they're upside down on their home, but this young lady called the radio and she says, well, you know, I have some multiple units and I have $500 income. But my house is not worth what I bought it for, and for that reason, I was calling to see what's your advice. So this gentleman, first thing he says, well, your house is upside down. Let's get rid of it. So I was wondering, what do you guys think about that?
Well, there's different alternatives to a property that's upside down. I mean, a lot of people want to save their properties because they've been paying on them for years, and a lot of folks would like to keep them. So they will maybe try doing loan modification. The other option would be there are companies out there that do what's called a mortgage buyback, which involves suing the bank and getting them to fold on keeping the property. And then there's also the option of short selling the property or walking away from it. Foreclosure should probably be the last option to somebody that's upside down.
I understand that part, but my question is, what do you guys think about these companies that are pushing people into short selling their property or taking another, pretty much the way I see it, taking advantage of the client?
I want to say seller beware, because a lot of times right now, since the inventory is kind of short, there's a lot of investors out there that are prying on homeowners that are in desperate need. So I would say seller beware, that you got to be very careful about that. And a lot of people will go out there and tell you, you know what, let me buy the house, let me sell it to me. And usually it's an investor, and they'll tell you, you know, I'll rent it back to you. And sometimes it doesn't work out that way. You know, the bank doesn't accept a short sale, and you could get into a whole lot of mess. So I would just say buyer beware. I know in the situation, when a seller is in that situation, they're desperate at the time, and I kind of seen it where there's investors out there taking advantage of it, and I just want to caution everybody out there to beware of that.
What I wanted to see
caller,
what you guys think about that, because like I said, I was listening to the radio station, and the gentleman, first thing he says, why don't you call John Doe, and he's going to help you short sell your property. But the way I saw it is that the property wasn't really, it was technically upside down, but not really, because she's making $500 income on those units.
Caller, you said something. You said that these homeowners are being pushed. I just want to let the general public know that the only way that a homeowner can be pushed is on the other side of a gun. Okay, there's nothing forcing them to do anything other than, you know, obviously if they get foreclosed on. Okay, but there's not a salesperson out there, an attorney, you know, I don't know, other folks that are out there advertising things and pushing their product. There's nothing. Like I said, other than a gun that's forcing them to sign anything.
So the answer is, I think the bottom line, it's the seller, the owner of the property has the last say-so in what they want to determine to do with that
Absolutely.
property. So I would just caution all the sellers that beware, weigh out all their options and ask around, get different opinions, and then make their choice based on a lot of different avenues. Don't just go with the first one that tells you, especially when you're in that kind of need, in that time of desperation.
There's a lot of other options. And I don't know if you listened to a show a couple weeks back. We had Peggy Mears was on from ACE, and she was very adamant about the attorney companies that were out there, and they were charging for loan modifications. And actually, attorney companies are the only companies that can charge for that. There are a lot of other salespeople and a lot of other services out there that are being advertised that try and charge for loan modification. It's actually illegal, and we want to make this very clear. It is illegal to charge for loan modifications other than an attorney, right, Alonso?
That's correct. That they pay it in a form of a retainer.
So I hope we answered your question.
Get you guys' view, because I do listen to you guys once in a while, and I want to see where you guys stand in regards to this, because like I said, I was listening to the gentleman on the radio, and they were just trying to get people to short sell their property. The way I saw it is that this particular lady, she has a positive income of $500, and this guy right away says, "Well, just call my guy. He's going to help you short sell your property." I just want to just get your guys' view.
Yeah, well, it sounds like he was already coming up on a conclusion of her situation. So I'll tell you, caller, if you want more information, you can visit our website at www.agrrealtors.com. We can do a personal consultation with that individual or yourself if you like. As a caller of the show, you are entitled to one of the gift cards. We have a Stevens Steakhouse gift card for $25 or a $200 teeth whitening. Are you hungry, or would you like your teeth white?
Teeth whitening.
Oh, well, okay. That's the first time we've given one of those out. There we go. We have one up on the screen. Please hold, caller, and I'll have my engineer Manny back there get your information, and we'll get that out to you, okay?
Thanks for calling, caller.
Thank you for calling. All right. Well, interesting question. A lot of times when you get that information and you're looking at it, when I'm consulting with somebody, I don't know that I would come to a quick conclusion like that, but it sounds like that's what happened.
Yeah,
in that case.
definitely not. I mean, I believe we should go over every detail in when a client wants to short sell their property. There's all the alternatives by law that we have to go through to make sure that that they have other options. They weighed out all their other options, and the last resort is short selling it.
Yeah, and another option might be getting roommates. If that makes the difference between you weathering the storm and keeping your property, because eventually, owning real estate makes real sense. Eventually, you own the property except for your upkeep and your taxes. If you're renting all your life, what are you going to do when your income starts going down at retirement? So having roommates is a real option to keeping property.
You're going to buy that plot. That's a piece of real estate that no one's dying to go to.
Well, I'll tell you, it's the last piece of real estate that you will ever purchase. That's
right.
And one of the reasons why we have Heather Cobbler here from Casket Monument here in Whittier joining us here on the show, and we were talking a little bit, Heather, about your situation. I wanted to read something here on your outline here. It says, there's a beginning, middle, and end to everything. Every relationship we have will end. People move away, transfer to a different school, change jobs, divorce, and they die. We are all terminal. We just don't know our expiration date. And I thought that was a good little quote on your outline here. Expand a little bit on that in terms of how you want to educate folks.
Yeah. Well, I tell people all the time to not be caught dead, plan ahead. For yourself, if you have elderly parents that are ultimately going to die, if you have a plan in place, it just makes all the difference in the world. And I was in a group the other day where one of the participants, her husband is very, very ill. And she said, should I bring my husband in to do a pre-need plan? I said, you don't have to bring your husband on. I said, you're going to make the arrangements ultimately. It's smarter if you do it now while you have your faculties. You don't have to pay anything. You just have a plan. A lot of families come to us and they don't even have a cemetery plot. I deal with 5 local brokers who sell cemetery property at 50% of what you pay at a cemetery. That's a huge savings. A lot of people come to us and they forget if the fellow was a vet, he's entitled to property and a vault and a marker at the National Cemetery. This saves a family about $5,000 or $6,000.
And we have an example here of a casket for a Marine Corps.
Yep. And you know what? When someone has been a vet, they definitely should have the honors. It's a beautiful ceremony, and there are different VFWs and American Legion posts that are happy to come out, do a 21. It's a very moving thing to have this done, and every vet should have that honor.
Now we are coming up on a break, and we'll lead up with education and pre-planning on the next segment. Give us a call, 855-693-4897, or you can call on a design deal. We have given out a gift card for today, but it doesn't mean that there isn't more. Mr. Alonso here is always a good participant in that. Joining us today is Heather Kobler. Kobler, and and here's the problem, Heather. Is cobbler is one of my favorite dishes.
Your
It's a peace cobbler. So every time I see it, that's what I'm thinking.
Don't
right?
get me started, Alex.
Yeah,
I gotta say it on there. Thanks, Jackie, for that.
Oh, that's
cobbler
right. She
pie
made
that
the
she
cobbler.
made. That was,
And you know what?
That was one of the best pies I've ever had.
Really? Okay. Thank you, sir.
You know, Alex, I forgot to bring you a rum cake. I give all my clients a rum cake, and I wanted to bring you one. I forgot.
Coming
We'll
up
be
on
back.
a break.
So I owe you a rum cake. I'll bring it to you next
We'll be
Monday.
right back with some more real estate rant.
Oh, man. TheTicketSurgeon.com. Reach us at 855-WIN-4199.
Did you get caught speeding, texting while driving, or doing anything else you weren't supposed to do?
Give us a call. Don't miss work. Don't lose out on the money. Don't get any more points. What about your insurance? Let us fight for you. TheTicketSurgeon.com at 855-WIN-4199.
Looking for a delicious, fresh family meal that's ready when you are and easy on your budget? Welcome to Piara Pizza. We make our pizzas with handmade dough, 100% real cheese, and tomato sauce blended with our own spices. Nothing is ever frozen. We always have large pepperoni and cheese pizzas fresh and waiting for you for only $5. Or choose one of our specialty pizzas. We have veggie, meat lovers, supreme, and Hawaiian. Add an order of our amazing hot wings, cheesy bread, or breadsticks. Our locations are ultra-modern, ultra-clean, and open 7 days a week. Visit any one of our locations today, or check us out on the web at www.piarapizza.com. Piara Pizza. Fresh, hot, and ready for you when you come in. Stop in for your Piara Pizza today.
The experts know that for pastry, Baker's Bodega has it all. Exclusive brands like Westco Bankmark, Satin Ice, and Pastry Pride. One-on-one day seminars for cake decorating and gelatin art. So for our service, wide range of ingredients and supplies, and for the low prices, Baker's Bodega has it all. But you don't need to be an expert. Baker's Bodega, 7869 Paramount Boulevard in Pico Rivera. Come, we're waiting for you.
We are the Three Guys Rant with Arvin, Mike, and Phil. Coming to you on the Rant Radio Network every Monday from 6 to 8 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. You can call us at 855-69-THE-3-GUYS.
It's not the three guys. This is why you should turn in, because one has Tourette's. The other one's illiterate.
You really should listen, then you never know what's going to happen.
855-69-3-GUYS. G-U-Y-S and the number 3, not the.
Faces for radio, voices for the deaf.
Look forward to talking to you.
Hey, I'm audio candy. I don't know about you guys.
Welcome to the Monster Marketing Group, your one-stop shop for all your marketing needs. Anything you need to make that marketing and advertising campaign stand out, we're your people. Concepts, design, production, social media, anything that you can dream up, we're going to make happen for you. And we can do it in a very quick turnaround. Please give us a call at 888-49-MONSTER.
Live from the Rant Radio Network,
You're listening to Real Estate Rant with your host, Alex Alanis.
and your co-host, Mr. Alonso Rodriguez.
No problems, just solutions for real estate needs, hot topics, and controversial chat. Welcome back. Oh, are you taking this one, Mr. Rodriguez? Welcome back to Real Estate Rant here at the towers of the Rant Radio Network. You can log on at www.rantradionetwork.com, or you can reach us at 855-693-4897. You can also email us at realestaterantradio@gmail.com. That's realestaterantradio@gmail.com. Oh, okay, now Manny's awake over there. Okay, right.
Live studio audience.
Yes. Every week we do the design deal. I wanted to throw up the design deal again. If you can, Mr. Manny, we do have a $25 gift card for Stevens Steakhouse, or a $200 teeth whitening card for Garden Dental, compliments of Carlos Cruz and the Bell Gardens Chamber of Commerce. Anybody that calls in and happens to let us know or guess what the design is. This one here is in Brompton Heights, Massachusetts, and we don't see a lot of these. I think there's some in Pasadena, but I like to pick some out-of-state stuff, sometimes out of the country, because sometimes when you see a picture of a house, you think it's neighboring city, and it happens to be out of the country.
So where was that located at? Boyle Heights?
That was in Massachusetts.
Oh, I thought you said Boyle Heights.
That was in Massachusetts. So if you call in on that, 855-693-4897. If you call in, you can...
Hey, show me some respect, boy.
Yeah, exactly. No interruptions. And make sure you turn your phone on vibrate if you wouldn't mind. Joining us today, Miss Heather Kobler from the Casket and Monument Company here in Whittier, a veteran and esteemed guest this morning here at the station. And we were following up now with, we started with estate planning, and we wanted to kind of get in a little bit on the education. In terms of, how would I educate myself if I came in? What would be some of the resources?
Well, it depends on what you're trying to do. If you have a family member that's terminally ill, you want to know what you need to do, where to start. And it starts by you picking a casket and a vault if you're going to have a below-ground burial, choosing a mortuary, which is very important, and then finding out what things cost, and having that in mind, you can fill out paperwork ahead of time, which is difficult to fill out after somebody's died, because it's all these vital statistics that the state of California wants for down the road. Your ancestors will want access to this information.
I was reading, I was doing a little research, and they said that one of the vital criteria of estate planning is to have a will or a trust.
Absolutely.
So that is that something correct?
Well,
that before the casket,
I was telling Alex before we went on air, I was doing a marker for an elderly woman that brought her children in. And in the course of doing the layout, she talked about the property she owned, and it was a considerable amount of property. And because I'm a volunteer, I can say anything I choose. And she was my peer. And I said to her, "Do you have a will and a trust?" She said, "No." I said, "We're going to stop what we're doing. I want you to go home and call your attorney and make an appointment to do a will and a trust. You have to protect your heirs. There's life after death."
And that's to avoid probate, right?
Exactly,
Okay.
exactly.
Well, the will is gonna determine or it's gonna distribute who will administrate your estate,
right?
And what children will go, what
Right.
property will go
Right.
to anything.
And
Well, the thing is
yeah.
if you die without a will, it's called intestate. And then the state of California will require you to do a probate, which is not a cheap thing. It's an expensive process.
Not a fun process.
It
yeah.
is not a fun. I've met so many families that it takes a long months and months, sometimes years, depending on the size of the estate.
Yeah, because you always have one or two individuals in the family
Exactly.
that are being combative,
Right,
and they
right.
want more than the other
Right,
guy,
yeah.
and that whole business. So that's really out of
Yeah.
control.
That's why, you know what I say to people, and I've said this all my life, If you're not using it and you do not need it, give it in your lifetime. Then there's no problem.
Yes, that's absolutely right, and that's why trust also
Absolutely.
can play a big part in that.
Absolutely.
And
So I
by
should
any means,
talk
we're
my
not
parents.
attorneys, but by any means, we're not attorneys. We're just giving out suggestions. So let me put out that disclosure out there.
Well, that means I should talk to my parents now. Just give it to me now. Is that how it works?
I don't know. It's gonna say they're gonna tell you, are you gonna kill me, or do you want me to die, or?
Well, no, I don't think
Well,
that's
it makes
the
a
message.
huge difference.
I'll
It's,
allow
let me-
them to
let me
live
tell
in the
you one-
house. Just give it to me now.
Let me tell you one thing. It's a very touchy subject because I actually have a brother that we're in that situation, and when we bring something up like that, it's kind of like, the mother gets upset, the dad gets upset, and like my mom says, I haven't even died yet, son, and you guys are already fighting the property. So by all means, I'm like, no, it's a subject, a very touchy subject, which we don't want to converse
talk
on.
about.
Yeah, we don't want to talk about.
Right.
Well, again, joining us today is Heather Kobler with the Cassett Monument Company. She can be reached at 562-698-4890. That's 562-698-4890, and she can advise you and consult with you about all of these issues. I am looking at one of the outline pieces that you gave us, Heather, and there it says here there's 48 things that you must do in order to do this estate planning.
Mhm.
And I'm looking at this, and this is overwhelming.
It is. In fact, if I get families to come in before the death and they see how much is involved in the planning of a funeral, that's the first heads up that they need to start moving forward to make decisions.
Yeah, and looking at this, I'll be honest with you, the general public needs this.
They need it
they
desperately.
They need to see this
Right.
because this is overwhelming. I mean, even talks about music and food and even the time of the service,
Right.
That kind
Right.
of thing. I mean, these are all things that you need to think about.
Right.
I'll be honest with you, I haven't thought about any of this for
I know.
myself.
Well, you should.
And I've got 6 kids, So,
Really?
yeah, so
Oh, boy.
they'll be happy
Well,
to know.
let me ask you this. Have you had the what if conversation with your spouse?
Now you mentioned that here on the outline. I haven't.
Actually,
Well, you know what? You have to have the conversation. If you do nothing, have the conversation so you know, sweetheart, I want to be buried or I want to be cremated. And if you're a vet, I want the honors. You have to at least tell each other.
We actually went to a mixer last week that it was involving one of these what do they call it, the legacy planning
Right. Estate.
Oh, you're talking about
pre-need planning?
Dignity.
Yeah, the dignity,
right.
and we went to the Rose Hills Memorial Park, and they gave us a kind of
like a seminar.
Yeah, like a little seminar. So when I got back, I kind of I told my wife, right now we're in a touchy situation. And I told her,
You're blushing.
I told her, are we gonna get buried together? And I
Yeah.
told her, I actually want to get buried in the same casket with her,
You're blushing a little, Alyssa.
Those sound effects are killing me. You're killing me, Larry.
Hey, we're trying to run a serious show here.
Well,
Mr.
let me
Manny.
tell you something about pre-need planning. You pick only what you want. When my husband and I did it, we picked the cheapest casket. See, when you shop for yourself, you're frugal. If somebody dies, you overspend. You're trying to overcompensate.
That's when all the kids are doing all the upgrades on the
Right.
on the casket
exactly.
And
Well,
here's
can
the
I,
deal.
Can I get a pine box? Is
Yes,
that
you can have a pine box.
Really?
You can have a pine box made. You can provide your own casket. I'll tell you another thing. You can have a viewing of you in your own home. We did a funeral years ago for an umpire on home plate. People don't know. I mean,
and that's that can all be outlined in your will.
absolutely,
and
absolutely.
Now there's a pine box there. See that
Right.
that's perfect for me right there.
Right.
That's
Heather,
perfect.
one question I have: is it possible that you can get buried with somebody that's already dead?
Well,
Would
if they're buried and you're cremated, yes. Or if you have a tandem plot where you can be buried on top of each other, but not in the same casket.
Okay, because they were telling me about a situation where actually the son had died 15 years ago.
Yeah.
And when the mother died, they actually pulled him out of the casket, opened up the casket, and her last wishes were to be buried in the same casket with her son.
They have to sign a disclaimer.
Well, when they opened the casket, they said the body was intact. Nothing was. It wasn't decomposed. It wasn't It wasn't mummified, but they actually granted her wish, and they opened the casket up and buried them both together in the same casket.
Well,
is that something we can do here?
I don't believe it.
Because I'm going through a divorce.
think
I'm going through a divorce,
that
and I
took
want
some
to get
extra
buried
money,
in
I
the
think.
same.
Yeah, that's.
I want to get buried in the
that's a
same
fairy tale.
casket.
But let me make an important point about pre-need insurance. You can pay for pre-need insurance in full or over 3 or 5 years. It takes for about $100 a month. Within 5 years, you can fund a funeral that locks in the cost for the rest of your life. And all the decisions are made. That's what's so great about it.
Well, you know what I've always been afraid of, though, with the prepayment deal is, how does the I mean, understandably, that person, I would probably give my information, say, to my daughter.
Well,
but say my daughter loses the information or something.
Forethought insurance, it's an insurance product. It's been around for a very long time. This is the only product they sell. And when I write a policy for somebody, I give them a special envelope and I tell them, give this to whoever in your family is the person that might be your executor or your spouse. And I say, here's the number you call 24 hours a day. If something happens, you call and then they make arrangements.
Yeah, but my fear is that now that company is closed or they're not around anymore. They took your money. I mean, I'm not saying that that's what you guys are doing, but that's my fear.
Yeah.
Well,
then do some research about forethought insurance. If you're comfortable, go ahead.
So it has to do more with the history of
right.
the place.
I mean, Prudential, New York Life, they sell a different insurance product, but it is an insurance product.
So that's included in the estate planning is some of the life insurance companies?
Well, the point is that if you want a pre-need funeral plan, I can help you. There are many other agents that are associated with other facilities that can help you. People generally go where they have some kind of experience.
And that's for your question. That is one of the elements of estate planning. Life insurance.
Right.
They want to know who the proceeds are going to be paid for. Who's the beneficiary? Right. Who am I giving that money? You know. So
well, when you have a life insurance policy versus pre-need, then you're going to have to make arrangements at the time of death. You can assign a portion of the life insurance to be paid to the mortuary. They put a claim in for X amount of dollars, and then they pay the mortuary direct, and then the family gets the residue.
We'll be right back.
We'll touch that mouse.
Stay tuned. We'll be right back with some more Real Estate Rant.
Ticketsurgeon.com. Reach us at 855-WIN-4199.
Did you get caught speeding, texting while driving, or doing anything else you weren't supposed to do?
Give us a call. Don't miss work. Don't lose out on the money. Don't get any more points. What about your insurance? Let us fight for you. Ticketsurgeon.com at 855-WIN-4199.
Welcome to the Monster Marketing Group, your one-stop shop for all your marketing needs. Anything you need to make that marketing and advertising campaign stand out, we're your people. Concepts, design, production, social media, anything that you can dream up, we're going to make happen for you. And we can do it in a very quick turnaround. Please give us a call at 888-49-MONSTER.
What up, foodie freaks? It's Chef Bev Lazo with the Culinary Trend Show. Join me and my brigade every Thursday night from 8 to 9 p.m. where we will be cooking up some crazy stuff that will give you the appetite for discussion. It's all about the good food, good friends, and good times. Only here on RantRadioNetwork.com.
We are the Three Guys Rant with Arvin, Mike, and Phil. Coming to you on the Rant Radio Network every Monday from 6 to 8 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. You can call us at 855.
Bazinga.
The Three Guys.
It's not the three guys. This is why you should turn in, because one has Tourette's. The other one's illiterate.
You really should listen in. You never know what's going to happen.
855-69-3-GUYS. G-U-Y-S and the number 3, not the.
Faces for radio, voices for the deaf.
Look forward to talking to you.
Are you watching the game at home? Why? Come watch it at Mambo Grill, the hottest spot in Downey. You'll have good food, drinks, and a great great time at a low price. We have the coldest beer in our sports bar, where you can enjoy the game on any of our huge flat screen TVs. And when your home team wins, you get 25% off anything in Mambo Grill. We're on Downey Avenue, 1 block north of Firestone, or visit us on the web. Mambo Grill. Love at first bite.
That's how I roll. I have one
Live from the Rant Radio Network,
You're listening to Real Estate Rant with your host, Alex Alanis.
and your co-host, Mr. Alonso Rodriguez.
No problems, just solutions for real estate needs, hot topics, and controversial chat. Welcome back to Real Estate Rant here at the towers of the Rant Radio Network on the holy grounds here in Whittier. Sponsoring us today would be Stevens Steakhouse. We do have a $25 gift card for anybody that calls in and talks with our co-host, Mr. Alonso Rodriguez, or our guest today, which I did want to thank on the air, Heather. We did have a cancellation today. We were supposed to have a title company on. I won't say who it is. And Heather came to the plate and helped us out and filled the spot. And I did want to thank you for that on the air, Heather Kobler from the Cassian Monument Company here in Whittier. And bringing up again the design deal. Anybody who calls in and happens to get the design for the day, or for the week, actually, can win a $25 gift card to Stevens Steakhouse or Garden Dental, $200 teeth whitening. We do have a winner for today that had a question. Anybody who happens to get the design for the day can win that card. Okay. We were talking about estate planning, but first,
it's a real serious matter. But I just thought it'd be fun if we did a little joke, an afterlife joke. You know, and I got a kick out of this one, Alex. And it goes, it was 3 men that had just died, right? And they were taken up to the hill by God, you know, to a cliff. And he gave them, you know, since you've been an outstanding citizen, you know, on earth, you know, I'm going to grant you a wish. So the first man, you know, he goes off the cliff and he goes, I want to be an eagle. And he jumps off the cliff and poof, he starts instantly, you know, gliding, and he was an eagle. The second man does the same thing. He wanted to be an owl. So he jumps off the cliff and he starts, you know, swerving and flying on the sky. And then the third man, you know, he goes towards the edge and he tripped over a rock and he goes, oh, shit. So I could imagine what happened with him, you know. But more on a more serious matter, let's get back to this.
Hey, well, I got a question, though. If they're already dead, why are they afraid of falling off the cliff?
Well, they were granted a wish.
Am I reading too much into that?
It's an afterlife joke.
Okay, I see. Okay, all right. Well, we're back with Heather here. We'll get back to the outline. We did talk a little bit about your experience, Heather, in the business and how you got interested in the business. Also, the importance of educating oneself into how many different items. Looking at the outline, I think there was 48 different items that that you have to think about,
right?
And you should talk about with your spouse and pre-plan these things, right? Now, you mentioned the arrangements now in terms of owning a cemetery plot and also choosing a mortuary. If you buy a plot at a mortuary, I think you mentioned
at a cemetery.
Or I'm sorry, the cemetery. If you buy a plot at a cemetery, you don't necessarily have to go to that one. Is that what you said?
Well, if they have, some cemeteries are strictly cemeteries, but others have mortuary services available. However, because you own the property does not mean you have to use that mortuary. If you can go to an outside provider and save money, a lot of people will do that, but they'll still have the interment at the cemetery. What people don't know is for a traditional funeral, you need to buy a casket, a burial vault. Ultimately, you'll buy a marker at some point. You have to pay for the opening and the closing of the ground, which is different at different cemeteries. You have to pay a vault setting, which is to set the vault that the casket goes in. And then you have to hire someone to officiate. Sometimes people have priests or cantors or bagpipers or mariachis. And see, we have all these resources. If people are looking for different resources, catering, I know which restaurants will actually let you bring the decedent in the restaurant.
Oh, wow.
Are you kidding me?
A lot of people don't know that.
Last Supper. Talk about Last
Supper.
Talk about carnitas, huh?
Yeah, there you go. But there are lots of specialty items associated with the planning of a funeral. But the most important thing of all is to educate yourself and don't have a fear of it. You know, it's everybody takes a turn at dying. It doesn't matter how hard you try. You're going to exit stage left eventually.
I'm going to live forever, Heather.
Yeah,
I think.
well.
Wishful thinking. That's wishful thinking.
Well, you're right. I probably have 5 years left in me. So I definitely.
I say 6. I say
okay,
6. Alex.
We'll
I'm going at 6.
Okay, I'll vote for 7. How about that? So I definitely need to come and talk with Heather, especially on this next part of the outline here. You're mentioning a 50% discount.
Well, this is on cemetery property. I have 5 brokers in the area that can find property at different cemeteries. The only place they can't sell property for are the Catholic cemeteries. But there are like 29 different cemeteries where they hold property, either on consignment or they bought it. You know, people buy property 20 years ago and then they move to New York.
So you're talking about mainly here in Southern California. I'm sorry.
Right.
Well, actually, there was in that I don't know if they can do this, Heather, with your company, but with the other company we went to, they were saying that you can actually transfer your plot. Like say, if you bought Rose Hills, for example, and you moved out there somewhere in Riverside, and there's a cemetery that's associated with that, you can actually transfer that plot into the other cemetery. Is that correct?
Yeah, sometimes that's true.
So it's just a money issue between the different cemeteries. I mean, they probably buy and sell from each other, I'm thinking.
Well, I don't think that's true, but I do know that Rose Hills is the closest cemetery here, and there is a $400 transfer fee. If you own a piece of property and you're not going to use it, and you have a family member that is accidentally killed or something, you can transfer the property into that person's name, but you have to pay the transfer fee.
Well, I'm just thinking like a real estate agent, you know.
Right, exactly. Exactly.
Well, it's a piece of real estate.
It is. It is. You know, you're 100% right. This is true.
Now,
it's the last piece of property I want to buy, Alex.
Well, let me tell you, Alonso, it is the last piece of property you will buy.
Yeah.
Thanks.
But if that's your wish to be buried, the sooner you buy that property, the better off you are. And if you buy it ahead of time, you can make payments. So, you know, I think the brokers give you up to a couple of years, which is something you can accomplish in a couple of years.
Yeah, and it makes it affordable, and makes
Exactly.
and then it makes more sense because you're saving. You're actually saving more money
Right.
because of it.
Do you know a lot of my clients I meet because they're coming in for a marker, because our markers are far less expensive than other outlets. And when they start looking around in the showroom and they look at the price sheets, they can't believe what they just went through and what they paid. You know, you can pay $6, $8, $10, $20,000 for a funeral. This is a chunk of change.
Can you give us an example, Heather, of more or less what a casket and a market cost?
The most
Just
common casket that I sell is $990.
Wow.
So I already
and it's a beautiful casket.
So I'm gonna need $1,000 already just on the casket. We're not with it.
There was a song by Van Halen called "They Got You Coming In, They Got You Going Out."
There you go.
You pay about $2,500 to get born, and then $2,500 to get out.
Yeah, and then we sell markers.
Only in America, Alex. And not only that, after we die, we still have to pay taxes.
That's right.
Debt taxes.
Estate debt.
We
It depends.
got a caller.
If your estate is under $500,000, you escape that.
We got a caller on line 1. Let's give him a try. Hello, caller. You're on the air on the Real Estate Rant. What can we help you with?
Hi, good morning. I was just listening to your show, and your guest actually answered a lot of my questions that I had regarding funeral planning and all that good stuff. So I just wanted to get some information as to how we can contact her company.
Oh, okay. Well, actually, you can reach her at 562-698-4890. If you're looking on the internet, we also have a visual up of her business card. Her name is Heather Cobbler. Did I say that right? I said it wrong again. It's Kobler. I apologize. At the Casket Monument Company here in Whittier. They're at 13131 East Whittier Boulevard in Whittier, 90602. Or you can reach her by email at Heather, Heather, Kobler, Kobler at Verizon.net. That's Heather Kobler at Verizon.net. They also have a website, the casketandmonumentcompany.com. So that's thecasketandmonumentcompany.com, and is A-N-D. Did that answer your question?
Yes, perfect. I've driven by there millions of times, and always wondered. Not really wondered, not really wanting to go in, but
Yeah, so have I. I've driven by there so many times. I'll tell you.
You gotta stop by and pick out your casket, like this. Like she said, there's offers right now only $1,000.
Now, caller, do you have
that's a deal.
Do you have your estate planning in order?
No, and it's something that unfortunately we need to, I guess, plan and do all that good stuff. I don't want somebody at the last minute, having to have that burden and, try to get upgrades when they're not needed or whatever. Just bury me in the ground. Who cares?
Sure. God forbid that it would happen anytime soon, but you can give her a call at 562-698-4890. That's 562-698-4890.
Great. Thank you so much, Heather.
You're welcome.
Caller, would you be interested in a gift card?
Sure, that's fine.
We have
Thank you very much.
$25 gift card to Stevens Steakhouse, or we have a $200 teeth whitening. Which would you like?
The Stevens Steakhouse.
Okay, I'm going to put you on hold, and our engineer will get your information, okay?
Great. Thank you so much.
Thanks for
Love
calling.
your show. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
The most common thing that people say to me the first time they come is how different they feel when they're leaving than when they came in.
And that's absolutely true, because, once you get informed and you see all the benefits of it, then it doesn't mean you're going to die. It just means you're prepared to die.
What happens is you become empowered.
Exactly.
There's nothing mystical about it. There is a stigma attached to talking about death and dying. In fact, for me, 40 years ago, I took a death and dying class. I was a docent at the Museum of Science and Industry, and there was an exhibit on Anna Kubler-Ross, who's written about death and dying. I spent all day long meeting morticians and casket company and embalmers and funeral directors. And then 5 weeks later, my 7-year-old niece was killed. And I'm the one that had to make the arrangements.
Oh, wow.
I had everything I needed.
You were prepared.
I was totally prepared, and I was paying for it. So instead of paying way over the top, I said, no, I want this and I want that, and that's it.
Well, Heather, we're actually coming up on the end of the show. I hate to interrupt. I did want to thank you for joining us, and we definitely have more information to get out about the Casket and Monument and what you have to offer. And I'd like to ask you back on the show in the future so we can cover that.
My pleasure.
Thanks for listening to the Real Estate Rant Radio Show here at the Rant Radio Network, and have a good day. 11 o'clock.
Stay tuned for Indy 101.
Indy 104.
104.
Thanks for tuning in to Real Estate Rant Radio.
Make sure to join us every Wednesday at 10 a.m.
on the Rant Radio Network, where we talk about solutions to your real estate problems. The views and opinions expressed by the host or any guest on this show are encouraged to be followed up by a professional tax advisor or attorney, as we are not qualified or authorized to give advice in two areas: legal matters and tax matters.